July 2023 video horoscopes for the 12 signs with me, Lada, from Astrolada.com. I'm so excited. July, we have some of the most karmic configuration in the sky. Pluto, which is considered the planet that governs the evolution of the soul and the evolutionary path, and the most karmic and fatal and fated events will square the karmic nodes, which are considered the north node is the true north of the soul, the new karma soul has to create. The south node is the past karma soul has to create. So some very pivotal fated karmic events will happen, like the universe is no longer waiting for you to make up your mind. It's giving you consequences of your actions and is realigning you to the path that is most appropriate for your soul, whether you're ready or no. So some events that I'll say for each sign what these events will be will trigger a specific big consciousness shift and realigning of your karmic direction and the karmic path in life for your soul during the next month, July and into August. And we'll speak what events this can be for each one of you. But something pivotal, very important, is happening, guys. And Venus is turning retrograde, but helping this process with a trine. So I'm very excited for this month. And before I start, Nikola Stojanovic, my past teacher, the late Nikola Stojanovic, his books are still not out. His daughter is trying to publish them. He's the most genius astrologist who ever lived. But we're releasing all his courses, 9 courses, for a discounted price, or you can choose just 3 of his courses in a package and get them. This is part of my Lada's Top Picks that continues the whole till October 2023, where I recommend you the best astrology courses and the themes. And Nikola Stojanovic is for everything. I mean, if you want to do astrology like a magician, like a psychic almost, check out those courses. I cannot recommend them enough. And of course, I do Q&A live once per month for each group till October. If you have questions for every new package of course, I recommend. So thank you. Let's begin July. Virgo, Sun, Moon, Rising, July 2023. Virgo, the big event is that the nodes are changing signs, and for the next year and a half, they would be karmically influencing and two new areas of your life. For the past year and a half, they were in your 9th and 3rd houses, and now from July, from around the middle, they're going to move into your 8th and 2nd houses. Okay, so wherever the north node goes for a year and a half, you can have increase that you might not even be ready for. And because Rahu, the north node, gives material results, and it can first destabilize because something new is coming there. But at the same time, if you trust the process, it can give you a lot. So in the 8th house, it can give you more of resources that come to you from others. Say if you have a business, this is your client's finances. So it can increase finances. It can increase, or you can start using other people's resources and talents to create more security in your life, or to bring out the, to have more success yourself by not just relying on your own resources. And your resources can be your own talents, not just money, but your own talents and knowledge and whatever. But by somehow harnessing, this north node is asking you harness the resources and the potentials of others, and I will give you a lot more. Stop relying just on yourself. The south node is where you let go for a little bit, where you kind of make a sacrifice. And if you trust this process, the north node gives you a lot of new things that come into you. And the north node, so I can give you an example. When I had north node in the 8th house from my ascendant and south node here, I had to let go of everything that I've gathered and built for 16 years in another country. All the possessions, all the friends, everything that I considered like my safety and resource there. I did not take anything with me. I gave it away to friends because I moved to a new continent, having to trust the resources of my partner, moved to like 8 houses, other people's resources as well. And I started a new life. I lost a lot of money because I was in a divorce and so on. So I was like willing to give it. I did not. So you have to be willing to sacrifice something of your own resources, something or you might, even if you're not willing to, you might be made to. But you have to realize this process is not going to impoverish you. This process can enrich you a lot more if you're willing to open up to receiving from others. So you might have to give up one sense of security, or one source of security, one source of income, one kind of possession of something you can consider valuable, or many of those. But you'll be open to something that comes out to you from an external source, from the universe. So I have to rely that I'll be okay, that my new partner can, provide for me, that there will be the resources and stability there. And I opened up, and it was true. Not only that, but my income during this 1.5 year period, while the North Node was in my 8th house, tripled. Jupiter was there as well, but you just had Jupiter leave the 8th house. So hopefully you have some ideas. So my income tripled by not me just working all the time and relying on my own, but by investing in other people and their talents. And they started doing courses, they started doing readings instead of me only. So other people's resources and talents, utilize them, ask for help, partner with others. That's where it's coming to you. Not only money, but more stability. Don't just rely on yourself. North Node in the 2nd house. It doesn't mean don't do anything on your own, of course, but it can be it can bring a lot of stability and finances and resources if you're willing to let go of some previous ones. And the North Node in the 8th house can often trigger some. 8th house is the house of sudden reversals in life, can trigger sudden reversal in life. Don't want to scare you. For example, for me, it was a divorce and a marriage. So both, very quickly changes. The 8th house is the house of, it's like a tornado, and it just passes in a second and turns everything around in your life. And it doesn't necessarily, it's not always just destruction after that. It's new beginning, a new way to make something. And the North Node always wants to reward you, even in the 8th house, where it can create havoc. Sometimes with a divorce, or with sometimes like a totally new circumstances in life, surprises, encounter with death, encounter with extreme circumstances. I don't want to scare you. I'm telling you the scariest things of the 8th house that can be. But the 8th house just will make those very life pivotal changes. Like pregnancies are possible as well in the 8th house, giving birth and so on, getting pregnant. And this is another very pivotal that changes your life, for example. That's another manifestation that can happen. For me, the best things in my life happened. I'll forever remember it when the North Node was in my 8th house. And if you're not ready for a change, I'm sorry, but you have no choice. And it's exhilarating. It's a ride. It can be a bit scary as well. But I don't know. It's not. I shouldn't scare you. I shouldn't scare you because it's not always that such big. My husband just went through the North Node in the 8th house, and he started. It's interesting, but his investment, because 8th house is investments. The last year, while the North Node was in his 8th house of investment, so if you have anything in stock, for example, whatever, he made more than I did through his 8th house to investment through Rahu. So 8th house is not just other people's finances, but 8th house is also if you've made stock market or something, whatever, as well. And there were no deaths, don't worry, there were no pregnancies. So I'm giving you a perspective of someone who just went through North Node in the 8th house. And it was pretty uneventful. A few times moving and big changes in life. There were a couple of times we moved in those 2 years. But nothing out of the ordinary for us. So not necessarily scary, but the North Node is in Aries, has a lot more energy and force than in Taurus. In Taurus, Taurus doesn't like to change much. It's more connected to money. In Aries, it's more psychological changes and shifts in your energy levels. I believe even for some of you, it can be like the 8th house is the Kundalini. And Rahu can really speed up that Kundalini. They can be Kundalini rising for some. They can be more passionate about sexual encounters. They can become more passionate about intimacy. they can become more passionate about secrets. They can become more passionate, or the North Node can enhance the number of secrets in your life. For some of you, it might be for professional reasons. Say you start doing astrology consultations or psychological, and people are confiding more in you, so you have to keep more secrets. It's also, one other thing my husband learned with North Node in the 8th house that just passed, how to do taxes. It takes him 4 or 5 months to do them, but it's like 8th house is taxes. So he became very passionate about learning that. So you can manifest in very simple ways. I was thinking, he'll probably get passionate about astrology now, the occult. No, my husband is not like that. He's like, practical, reasonable, but 8th house you might be involved with when North Node is there, with taxes, and you can gain through taxes. You can learn how to benefit through taxes in some way, or you can be involved with other people's finances in some way. As I said, so you can gain money by investing your partner's finances or resources, or you can do some areas is very initiative sign, so some kind of a entrepreneurial endeavor that involves other people's talents or other people's money or other people's resources, or somehow combine powers with another person. You can be very passionate to invest in some markets and whatever. But you have to be a bit careful in July because the North Node squares Pluto, so there can be some unexpected things and crises there. But the other thing that the 8th house North Node can give you is deep psychological transformations. As I said, it can speed up the Kundalini, the spinning of the chakras. Sometimes this can be like a crisis situation that you feel like you're going crazy and dying. That's in extreme cases. But in more normal situations, it's making you a bit more psychic, more intuitive, making you have maybe some healing energy going through your body, or even having more sexual energy pass through you. Awakening of the Kundalini, that can happen as well. Having some more passionate sexual experiences or desires for some of you, or those desires can be transmuted into spiritual energy, because the actually psychic abilities and clairvoyant abilities are transformed sexual energies that are pulled up to the higher center. So you can either become like a little horny puppy obsessed with the lower chakras energy that the 8th house can generate, or you can pull up the energy and use it to psychic abilities for deep healing, because the energy that's pulled up from the lower chakras to the higher ones, and I don't know how to do it, I'm just talking how it's done, what it does, it turns into healing, into deep realizations, into psychic abilities. It can be a great time to learn forbidden things, secrets, astrology, the occult, anything to do with the internal world, to have psychological breakthroughs and realizations. 8th house is you're also connected to your inner demons and trauma that's locked in you. The North Node can really stir up the waters there, so you're released, or so you become more aware of what those inner demons are. And sometimes it can feel a bit intense at the beginning because you feel those shadow sides of you taking power over you, this extreme desires or passions taking power over you. But it's only so you can become aware of it, and learn how to harness them and put them to work for you, those extreme energies. But again, even if there's some reversal in your life, it can lead to gains for you in some way through others, through inheritance, insurance, taxes, all of those things. You can be gainful through them, investments. While the North Node in the 2nd, we said what it speaks about. It might be about making some sacrifice about your own personal security and so on. But the North Node is squared by Pluto this month, and the South Node is squared by Pluto. So usually that's when the karmic paths of people get realigned for them, whether they're ready or not. It's high time, and Pluto is the pebble that turns the card, or that finally makes things moving, and Pluto is in the 5th house for you Virgos. So it might be some situation connected to children or to a romantic relationship that starts changing the direction of your life. So it can come from any of those 3 angles. The second house, finances. Eighth house, other person's resources, finances, mental, psychological traumas, or fifth house, children, romantic relationships, how you have fun, enjoyments, creative pursuits, creative ideas, personal business. If you have a business, fifth house is if it's your own idea, you're running it. This is your, fifth house is often the business, it's your baby. So something might be happening in any of those areas that create a big karmic change on your path, turn around in a new direction. So keep, where it's going to come from. Maybe, I think Pluto is the catalyst from this fifth house. Of the fifth house is also connected to the self-love, self-esteem, but usually it's connected to children, to romantic partners, to creative projects. All of those things can be a catalyst that trigger a big psychological transformation, change, or change in circumstances of your material and financial situation. But there is this, because the North Node is so powerful, it always is what enhances. There'll be a big psychological breakthrough for you, and change and alignment. But of course, this difficult combination, it's a square. So there can be some crisis that is undergone either in romantic relationships or all those two areas, some stresses with finances and so on, or taxes, or everything that I talked about, that escalates and puts you though on the right karmic path, which is right for your evolution, because these are the most important 3 points for karmic evolution of the soul. Venus helps you in this process. It's making a trine to the North Node all the time, sextile to the South, the whole month. So maybe prayer, Venus is in the 12th house. Maybe your ancestors, invisible, that have passed on the other side, might be helping you, or your high intuition, or your guardian angel, or maybe taking time and a retreat a little bit. Go to a hotel, go to a spa. This can help you. Whatever this big karmic thing is being clarified here, and it's kind of aligning your karma. This month, Venus is what helps you. Venus in the 12th house. Escape through imagination, through prayer, through spiritual activities, through anything to do with mystery, spirituality, or even indulging a little bit in Venusian things behind the scenes, whatever it is. I mean, it can make you willing to drink or overeat more, because the Venus in the 12th house has no barriers. It has no stop abilities. To use as a means to change your spiritual or psychological state, you might be trying to use Venusian things, where the food, drink, and so on. That's a bit of a danger for Venus, but otherwise, escape through good holidays, a private romantic experience as well, going on a hotel with your loved one, or having a private communication or connection with someone. But Venus is turning also retrograde in your 12th house, Virgo, on the 22nd of July. Will be retrograde the whole August. For some of you, it might be reconnecting from someone from your past, unfinished business, to finish it, or something, There might be some private interactions with someone behind the scenes, affairs and so on. Or it can be some private desires that are not officially stated and yearnings for some of you that you're dealing with. On a more positive level, the 12th house is the imaginative realm, the realm of creating music, downloading imagery, music, inspiration. That can be powerful time for creative people to create, to download during Venus retrograde. The retrograde is very internal, introspective energy, and you can really connect with those imageries from the invisible world. On another level, this can be a powerful time to receive a message from the invisible worlds, from a supporting, loving female figure, your spirit guide, your high self, or a departed mother, grandmother, child, that there is communication from there, or that there is some support and help, or even someone on the earth but that you're not aware of, who has your back and is helping you in some way. This is hidden support with Venus there. But again, you have to be a bit careful because some secrets can come to the surface when Venus starts turning retrograde in regards to personal, romantic love, in regards to finances, because Venus rules your second house, in regards to some truths, Venus rules your ninth house, some moral dilemmas that can be brought to the surface that was, let's say, private till now, that you have to deal with and decide what to do with. And it's usually Venus in the 12th house is quite subtle. I've had it many times. It's always been more introspective, more creative for me. Pleasures of the intimate pleasures can improve, by the way. So that's why intimate life, often the 12th house is bed pleasures, like hotels and beds and intimacy. So Venus there, even when it's retrograde, can be quite nice. And of course, if you're, sometimes Venus has this hidden, in the 12th house, this hidden quality. But if you love your partner, maybe you can do some role playing, for example, during that time. Venus in the 12th house, even retrograde, is great to travel to foreign places. After the 22nd, maybe return to a place that you've been to before, foreign, that you love, reconnect with it. Faraway culture or place, or people, foreign people that you haven't been in touch with. Revisit some. It can be very spiritually satisfying and like food for your soul when Venus is in the 12th house as well, and healing in some way. So of course there can be a bit more spending of money. 12th house rules spending. Venus retrograde, maybe you have to rethink a little bit your money, your budgeting. That can be one of my advices for you. Don't be too especially while Venus is retrograde in the 12th house, you might spend on things that you're really enjoying. It might be a holiday, something spiritual, something that feeds your soul, something that's pleasurable, because you're not going to regret it. 12th house is expenditure, Venus is all things that you enjoy. But they might be just don't take risks unnecessary with your money, because the planet that rules your money, Venus, goes retrograde in the 12th house of losses. So you just have, during that Venus period, not to be too, let's say, rash with your finances and do some crazy things. Anyway, thank you so much. And I hope that was helpful for you, Virgos.